When it comes to global dominance, the United States stands in a league of its own, with one statistic that leaves the world in awe. Its defense budget surpasses the combined spending of the next 9 nations. This staggering figure isn't just about military might. It's a glimpse into how economic power fuels geopolitical influence. The U.S. pours over $900 billion annually into defense, funding an intricate web of industries, technologies, and global trade networks that define its status as a superpower. But here's the question: how does this immense military investment translate into economic dominance? And more importantly, is it sustainable? In this video, we're diving into the financial engine behind America's unmatched global standing. We'll uncover how defense spending creates jobs, drives innovation, and secures trade routes that keep the world's economy humming. You'll see why this intricate dance of military and economic power keeps rivals at bay and allies in check. Whether you're fascinated by global economics, intrigued by the interplay between power and policy, or simply curious about why the U.S. stands unchallenged, this journey will change the way you view international relations. Don't miss a second. Like, share, and subscribe to Economy Explorer, and make sure to stick with us as we uncover the hidden truths behind America's economic superpower. A budget that shapes the world. The United States defense budget is more than a number. It's a statement of power. At over $900 billion annually, it eclipses the combined spending of the next 9 countries. But what's truly fascinating is how this staggering sum drives economic activity. Defense spending isn't just about weapons and soldiers. It's about creating jobs, spurring technological innovation, and reinforcing a global economic system that benefits the U.S. in profound ways. For example, military contracts fund companies ranging from aerospace giants to small-scale suppliers, each contributing to a vast economic ecosystem. This budget doesn't just protect borders. It secures an entire economy. The jobs engine. Have you ever considered how many jobs are created by military spending? Defense contracts employ millions of Americans, directly and indirectly, across sectors like manufacturing, engineering, and logistics. Think of the assembly lines producing cutting-edge fighter jets or the software developers working on advanced cybersecurity. Beyond the military-industrial complex, the ripple effects extend to local economies where these workers live, shop, and spend their earnings. The defense budget doesn't just fund soldiers and tanks, it's a lifeline for countless American families. And as we'll see next, it's also a springboard for technological progress. Innovation through necessity. Necessity breeds innovation, and nowhere is this more evident than in defense-related research and development. From the internet to GPS, some of the world's most transformative technologies originated from military projects. Today, advanced fields like artificial intelligence, drone technology, and renewable energy are being shaped by defense funding. These breakthroughs often spill over into civilian applications, revolutionizing industries and enhancing everyday life. What else might emerge from these initiatives? Let's explore how military strength ensures economic leverage globally. A global network of influence. The U.S. military doesn't just defend, it also projects power to protect vital trade routes and economic interests. For instance, the U.S. Navy ensures the safety of global shipping lanes, which carry trillions of dollars in goods annually. This presence deters piracy, stabilizes regions, and maintains the flow of trade that underpins the global economy. Military bases abroad also create partnerships that bolster economic ties, benefiting both the U.S. and its allies. But there's another side to this story: the economic cost of sustaining such dominance. Global dominance through economic and military power. When the United States deploys its military forces across the globe, it does more than defend its borders. It fortifies the economic stability of a world reliant on international trade. Picture this. Nearly 80% of global trade by volume moves through maritime routes, many of which are secured by the presence of the U.S. Navy. Without this military might, piracy, territorial disputes, and unstable regions could disrupt the flow of goods, from energy resources to essential raw materials. The U.S.'s ability to maintain open and secure trade routes not only benefits its economy, but also cements its position as a stabilizing force in global markets. Military spending and technological innovation. The U.S. defense budget isn't just about weapons, it's about driving the kind of innovation that redefines industries. The Internet, for example, started as a military project before becoming the backbone of the global economy. Today, advancements in areas like artificial intelligence, satellite communication, and cybersecurity often begin in the defense sector. These technologies spill over into civilian markets, creating new industries and enhancing the competitiveness of American businesses. But how does this innovation impact its global economic relationships? That's where the U.S.'s trade and military strategy come together. Securing global trade partnerships. Economic dominance requires trust, and the U.S. military plays a key role in fostering that trust. Through its network of international bases and alliances, the United States provides a level of security that encourages investment and economic collaboration. For instance, U.S.-backed stability in regions like the Persian Gulf ensures the uninterrupted flow of oil, a resource critical to the global economy. These partnerships often extend beyond defense, opening doors for trade agreements and economic cooperation that benefit both the U.S. and its allies. But what happens when rising powers like China challenge this dominance? Let's explore the economic implications of that rivalry next. Economic leverage against rivals. In the game of global economics, military strength often translates into bargaining power. Whether negotiating trade deals or imposing sanctions, the U.S. uses its unparalleled military and economic leverage to shape global policies. This influence is especially evident in its ability to counter the growing ambitions of rivals like China and Russia. With control over critical trade routes and the world's reserve currency, the U.S. remains a formidable force in setting the rules of international commerce. But how sustainable is this dominance in an ever-changing global landscape? That's a question worth examining further. The true cost of military dominance. For decades, the United States has maintained its position as a global superpower, in part through its military supremacy. But this dominance comes at a staggering cost, and the numbers tell a story of both strength and sacrifice. With a defense budget surpassing $900 billion, military spending accounts for nearly 15% of total federal expenditures. This investment funds advanced technologies, a sprawling global presence, and millions of jobs. But it also raises questions. What are the economic trade-offs, and how do they shape the nation's future? Let's break this down. The weight of national debt. The U.S. national debt is climbing at an unprecedented pace, now exceeding $35 trillion. Defense spending plays a significant role in this ballooning figure. While it's easy to focus on the immediate benefits, jobs, innovation, and global security, the long-term effects are less visible but deeply impactful. High levels of debt mean a growing portion of the federal budget goes toward interest payments, leaving less room for critical investments in infrastructure, healthcare, and education. The question remains, how much longer can this level of spending be sustained before it begins to erode the foundation of the U.S. economy? Opportunity costs. What could have been? Every dollar spent on defense is a dollar not spent elsewhere, and the opportunity costs are immense. Imagine what even a fraction of the $900 billion defense budget could achieve if redirected. Expanded social programs, enhanced public education, and cutting-edge infrastructure projects could transform communities and boost economic productivity. For example, a high-speed rail system connecting major cities could reduce travel costs and emissions while creating millions of jobs. These possibilities highlight the trade-offs inherent in prioritizing military spending, a debate that continues to shape the nation's priorities. Economic risks of dependency. An economy heavily reliant on defense spending faces its own set of vulnerabilities. Industries dependent on military contracts risk stagnation if budgets are reduced or redirected. Additionally, an overemphasis on defense can stifle growth in other critical sectors, such as renewable energy or advanced manufacturing. This creates a precarious balance. While military spending drives innovation and supports millions of jobs, it also concentrates economic resources in ways that may hinder broader, more sustainable growth. Could the U.S. economy withstand a shift away from defense dependency? That's the challenge we'll explore next. The power of fear. Throughout history, power has often been measured not just by the strength of one's forces, but by the influence they wield over others. The United States embodies this concept, where its unparalleled military and economic might create a unique form of influence: fear. Fear, not necessarily born from aggression, but from the sheer scale of capabilities that could reshape global landscapes in moments. From the staggering defense budget to a network of alliances spanning the globe, the U.S. projects a level of power that leaves adversaries cautious and allies dependent. But what sustains this power, and how does it translate into economic dominance? The U.S.'s military strength does more than deter potential threats. It provides a foundation for its economic strategies. Take the U.S. dollar, for instance, which remains the global reserve currency. This status isn't solely due to economic factors. It's also tied to the confidence inspired by U.S. military stability. Nations trade in dollars, hold them in reserves, and rely on them for stability, reinforcing America's economic hegemony. Every warship, fighter jet, and military base acts as a silent guardian of global trade routes, further embedding the U.S. into the economic fabric of the world. Yet, such power inevitably attracts challengers. The rise of nations like China and Russia has introduced a new dimension to global power dynamics. China's economic ascent and its Belt and Road Initiative seek to rival U.S.-led trade networks, while Russia's strategic maneuvers test the boundaries of American influence. Yet, the U.S. continues to counter these moves with its unique blend of military and economic dominance. By maintaining control over critical trade routes, leveraging sanctions, and fostering international alliances, it secures its position as a global superpower. But even this dominance comes at a cost, a price worth considering as the global landscape evolves. Fear, influence, and might, these are the cornerstones of America's global dominance. It's a power forged by a delicate balance of economic ingenuity and military supremacy. As we reflect on the United States' unique position in the world, one question lingers: how long can this balance be maintained? If you've enjoyed this exploration, please like, share, and subscribe to Economy Explorer. Don't forget to check out the suggested videos on your screen to dive deeper into the forces shaping our world. Thank you for being a part of our journey. We'll see you in the next one.